The kitchen light is low, a single bulb casting long shadows across a table stacked with unopened bills. You sit there, fingers drumming on an envelope, breath shallow as if the room itself has tightened around your chest. Outside, the street is quiet. Inside, the clock seems louder, marking a rhythm of worry you've been keeping for years. I work so hard, you tell the empty room. Why does it never feel like enough? In the next room, a photograph of a younger you smiles back, bright-eyed, hopeful, and for a moment the contrast stings. That's when a calm voice enters, not from outside but from somewhere steadier inside you. Wealth doesn't begin in your bank account, it says. It begins in your energy. You almost laugh. It's the kind of line that feels like a platitude until it opens a door. The voice is warm, like a trusted mentor who has walked through shortage and found a way out. It doesn't promise overnight miracles. It promises truth, that your relationship with money is a story written long before your current balance, and that story can be revised. You close your eyes and the scene shifts, a memory of a child hearing, "Money doesn't grow on trees," a partner's offhand remark about risk, a payday that dissolved into household needs before it landed in your hands. Each memory is a thread, and together they form a pattern that pulls you back. The guide, steady and compassionate, asks a single question that lands like a turning point. What part of that story still runs you? You feel the answer like a pulse: fear, not failure; habit, not fate. In the quiet that follows, a small, practical map begins to appear. Not a lecture, but an invitation to notice the pattern keeping you in scarcity, to interrupt the inner critic that says you're not ready, to build a daily practice that signals, quietly and consistently, that you are open to abundance. You sense this is not about luck, it's about alignment. If this resonates, tap like to let me know you're here, and stay with me, because next, we'll begin by naming the emotional pattern that has been directing your financial life, and we'll learn how to interrupt it. What is your biggest financial struggle right now? Debt, low income, or fear of investing? Share below, and I'll guide you through the first step. The kitchen light hums over a stack of envelopes like a small constellation of obligations. You sit there long after dinner, the steam from your coffee gone cold, rubbing the bridge of your nose until the numbers on the statements blur. A familiar voice, calm, clear, sits across from you even when the chair is empty. Tell me the story you tell yourself when that bill arrives, the guide asks, not with judgment but with the steadiness of someone who's walked through scarcity and come out steadier. You try to answer and find the same phrases: "I'm behind, I never catch up, money slips away the moment it arrives." The words fall heavy in the room like rain on a tin roof. The guide leans forward, eyes soft. "Those phrases are the pattern," she says. "They are not facts, they're habits of feeling. Prosperity won't come until that pattern relaxes. First, we name it." She points to a magnetic whiteboard by the fridge where, in gentle strokes, she writes the shape of your experience: trigger, thought, emotion, action. The trigger might be a single overdue notice, the thought is an old belief inherited from a parent, a past fear, or a mortgage day that never quite ended. The emotion is the tightness in your chest. The action is the small retreat: you stop looking at opportunities, you avoid the phone call, you tuck away ideas like unpaid invoices. "Watch this," she says, and you watch because you want to. She guides you through a short, practical exercise in the moment. Breathe into the tightness for 60 seconds, name the belief aloud, then replace it with a simple, alive image of enough: an envelope paid, a hand extended and met, a quiet ledger balanced. As you do, the room shifts a fraction, the pattern loosens just enough for a space of possibility to appear. She smiles and asks one softer question that lands like a pebble in still water: which of these beliefs is yours? That you're unlucky, that money requires compromise, or that you're not ready? If this resonates, tap like and stay with us. Next we'll move into the exact first step that turns naming into realignment. The kitchen light is soft, the table littered with envelopes, a mug gone cold. You sit there, the weight of months pressing into your chest, and a familiar voice, calm, patient, leans in beside you. "Tell me the story you're telling about money," the guide says. You blink, the question simple but sharp. It isn't about numbers yet, it's about the old tape that plays: "I don't deserve this, there's never enough, I'm always behind." The room tightens as memory threads pull, a childhood of worn shoes, a parent saying we can't afford it, a job that taught you to hustle and apologize. These images are not trivia. They are the emotional pattern that has been steering every financial decision. We sit with that pattern. Naming it dissolves some of its power. Fear of not enough, you whisper, and something in you loosens, an inhale that finally reaches the belly. The guide gives you a practical tool. When the negative thought rises, interrupt it. Say out loud, pause, breathe, then ask, is this true right now? You try it, a bill triggers the old chorus, you pause, the word cuts through like a light opening a curtain. It doesn't erase fear, but it arrests the automatic script long enough for a different choice. Next comes a small, tender exercise the guide calls a vibrational ritual. For 5 minutes each morning you stand by the window, feet grounded, hands over the heart, and list 3 specifics you want, not vague riches, but a stable $500 freelance invoice, a clear budget that lets me breathe, an investor conversation. You feel the body shift when you speak specificity with gratitude. The ritual is not magic, it's a signal you send to yourself, I am ready. Alongside this, take one aligned action, email that client, tidy your accounts, ask for a raise. The guide shows you Mrs. Alvarez down the street, who began with a short email and 3 months later had a steady freelance client that changed her monthly cash flow. Small signal, small action, unfolding opportunity. You lean forward, energized by the first crack in old belief. If this lands, give it a like and tell me in the comments, what is your biggest financial struggle right now? Debt, low income, or fear of investing? Stay with me, next we'll deepen the ritual and map the first aligned actions that match your new financial identity. You sit at the kitchen table while dawn slips through the blinds, a stack of envelopes like small mountains between your hands. The guide leans on the counter, not lecturing but steady, as if they've seen this scene in dozens of different homes. Tell me the story you tell yourself about money, they ask softly. Your voice is raw, I never have enough. I wasn't taught how to save. I'm just unlucky. The words land heavy, and for a moment the house is only the sound of the coffee maker and your breath. The guide doesn't try to fix it with platitudes. Instead they walk you through a small, precise exercise. Close your eyes. Picture the first time you believed scarcity. Where were you? Who said it? Let the memory speak. You see your childhood kitchen, the same worry in a parent's voice. That small, repeating scene is the emotional pattern, a loop that has been running through your decisions without your permission. Naming it shifts something, the memory gets a shape and loses its power to hide. Then the interruption, your inner critic begins its familiar litany, you can't invest now. You'll just lose it. The guide hands you a pen and says, answer it out loud. Say, I acknowledge you, but I choose another path. You surprise yourself. Your voice sounds steadier. I acknowledge you, but I choose another path. The critic sputters, then folds, not gone but quieter. That's the second step, interrupting negative financial self-talk so it stops steering your choices. They show you how to make this real in daily life, a 2-minute ritual to catch the narrative before it becomes action. In the bathroom mirror you practice the line until it feels like a discovery, I am learning to attract money, I am learning to receive. It's not magic, it's a rehearsal that rewires muscle memory. You can almost feel the tension in your chest giving way, replaced by a small, stubborn relief, a place where possibility can grow. If this resonates, gently tap like below. Tell me in the comments, which of these voices shows up most for you, a debt, low income, or fear of investing. Subscribe if you want simple, steady practices sent to you. Next, we'll build the daily vibrational ritual that signals to the universe and to you, I am ready for abundance. The kitchen light is soft, late afternoon sun cutting across a table strewn with envelopes. He sits there, fingers tracing the edge of a bill as if it might become something else, an invitation, a promise. The guide stands in the doorway, not imposing, simply present, the room smells faintly of coffee and the memory of better months. Tell me about the voice that shows up when you open these, the guide says. He laughs, a short, nervous sound. It says I'm not enough. That I made the wrong choices. That money doesn't stay for people like me. The guide leans forward, steady and calm. There's the wound, she replies. Scarcity is emotional first. Name it, then it loses its secret power. She teaches him to catch the script the moment it begins, like identifying a song on the radio and choosing to change the station. They rehearse a small interruption, 3 grounding breaths, a soft-handed slap to the thigh, a whispered counterline, I am learning to receive. It feels odd at first, almost silly. He imagines himself as a child rebuked for asking for more, then he imagines his adult hand reaching out instead, steady and sure. The interruption cracks the story open, the voice loses its momentum. Next, she helps him build a daily vibrational ritual that signals readiness. Not an elaborate ceremony, but a tangible sequence, morning breathwork at the window, naming 3 things already abundant, warmth, a steady heartbeat, a helpful friend, then a 2-minute visualization of money arriving in small, believable ways, a return deposit, a client call, a check in the mail. He is asked to touch his wallet after each visualization and say, I am ready. The act anchors feeling and intention into a physical habit. As days pass, the ritual becomes less like pretending and more like aligning. He notices subtle changes, a calmer decision about a purchase, a clearer email reply, a tentative phone call from an old client. Nothing dramatic yet, just energy shifting, confidence rebuilding. The guide smiles, knowing the hardest work is often invisible. Share one moment you felt different this week, she suggests, and when he does, the room breathes with possibility. If this landed with you, leave a like and tell me below, what is your biggest financial struggle right now, debt, low income, or fear of investing? Subscribe for the next part, where we turn this new energy into aligned action that opens real opportunities. The kitchen light is thin, the coffee cold, and the stack of envelopes stands like a small, accusatory monument on the counter. You stare at them, and the old familiar script plays in your head, I'll never get ahead, money slips through my hands, I'm just not lucky. You hear your own voice, flat, tired, and then, softer, a different presence, the guide's steady tone that has followed you on this journey. Listen, they say, as if leaning across that same table, the first law of abundance is to know the story you're telling. You remember a childhood afternoon when a parent whispered worry over bills, the pattern etched itself into your nervous system. That memory is not the enemy, but it is the pattern to be seen. So you practice. You name the thought out loud, I'm not enough, and it loses some of its power. The guide teaches you to interrupt, a sharp inhale, a hand clench, a spoken counter-truth, I am learning to receive. It feels resistant at first, like trying to steer a ship with a spoon, but each interruption creates a crack where new light can come through. In the living room, you try it again. The phrase surfaces, I don't deserve this. You pause, look at a plant on the windowsill, and say, I am worthy of comfort and choice. The plant's green steadiness somehow accepts your new sentence, and you do, too. We then build a simple vibrational ritual that signals readiness, 3 breaths to clear, 3 gratitudes spoken aloud, a 30-second visualization of a concrete, small win, a paid bill, a steady client, a calm bank balance, and a tiny aligned action to anchor it, like scheduling a call or setting aside $5. These are not magic tricks, they are energetic contracts. Each repetition rewires what you believe about money. In one scene, you make that call, your voice different, calmer, expectant, and the person on the other end responds with an unexpected courtesy. You begin to feel the split, old fear on one shoulder, a new possibility on the other. If this lands with you, give this moment a quiet thumbs up, like the signal that says, I'm ready. Tell me in the comments, which one of these holds you back most, debt, low income, or fear of investing? Stay with me, next we'll turn that tiny ritual into a daily practice and map the first aligned steps to bring real opportunities in. The kitchen light is soft, steam curls from a mug as you stare at the stack of envelopes like small grey mountains. Your hands know the weight of this scene, a mortgage notice, a credit card slip, an automatic withdrawal you forgot about. The old script plays, not enough, you missed the train, this is your life. Then the guide's voice, calm as dusk, asks a different question, what if wealth begins as an energy you can choose before the numbers change? You breathe because the question lands like a hand on your shoulder. The third step we promised is simple and tender: build a daily vibrational ritual that says to the universe, I am ready. You stand, pad to the window where early light draws a silver line across the table. For 5 minutes you do this: inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6, place one palm on your heart and one on your belly, name 3 small gratitudes: the mug, the roof over your head, the fact you woke. Then speak aloud a present tense phrase that feels true and slightly brave: I am open to wise, steady abundance. Fold a dollar bill into your wallet as a signal anchor, or set a tiny object by your keys that you will touch before you leave the house. This ritual is not magic money, it's a consistent frequency you broadcast. Then action follows the vibration. Not frantic hustle, but aligned moves that match your new identity. You draft one email you were avoiding, an inquiry about a part-time consulting gig. You call the bank to ask about consolidating debt rather than hiding. You spend 30 focus minutes learning one investment term. Each small step is a sentence in the story you want to live. 2 days later, a neighbor mentions a freelance opportunity, a friend introduces you to someone who needs your skill. Money doesn't fall like a miracle overnight, but doors open that align with the energy you carried. The real shift is quiet: you stop negotiating with scarcity in your head and start negotiating with possibility in the world. If this resonates, tap like and tell me below, what is your biggest financial struggle right now? Debt, low income, or fear of investing? Subscribe for the next guided practice, where we turn these first small wins into steady momentum and map the exact timeline of what you can expect when energy and action align. The kitchen light throws a warm pool across the table where you sit with envelopes and a calculator, a quiet evening that feels heavier than it should. Across from you, the guide, calm, steady, folds their hands and says, tell me the story you keep telling yourself about money. For a moment you only hear the clock. Then the words spill: I'm always behind. I make mistakes. Money slips away. The guide watches without judgment and leans in like a friend who believes in your future before you do. Those sentences are vibrations, they say softly. They're not facts. They're the melody you've been humming. Change the melody, and your life will begin to dance to a new song. They show you how to translate that shift into small, precise acts. Start each morning with 3 breaths and a single sentence: I am open to receiving. Not a grand declaration, just a tonal reset. When the first bill arrives, pause. Say, I acknowledge this. I will respond from a place of clarity. Then act, call, ask for a plan, schedule a side consultation. Aligned action is never frantic, it's tidy, intentional, and confident. The guide walks you through a practical ritual, a 5-minute visualization that uses sensory detail: feel the weight of a check in your hand, hear the voice saying, we approve, smell the coffee you drink the morning you deposit it. Afterward, write one tiny next step on a sticky note and place it where you will see it all day. You try it. The rhythm of the ritual pulls something loose inside you. Anxiety loosens to curiosity. In the soft light, you practice a script the guide gives you: I am learning to manage what I attract. Say it aloud once, then again with conviction. The room feels different, the bills are the same, but you are not. The guide gives a final nudge: reach out, call a person who knows this field, send a simple email, list one skill to monetize. Movement, even small, signals to the universe that you have changed your mind about what's possible. If this landed with you, like this video lightly and tell me below, which of the 4 steps felt hardest: interrupting old thoughts, the ritual, the practical call, or taking the aligned step. Subscribe to keep walking this path with me. Up ahead we will test those shifts against real obstacles and show how to hold a new identity when the outside world resists. The kitchen light hums low as she sits at the table surrounded by envelopes, a scene that could be any of us after a long day. I don't know how to get out, she says, voice small. The guide leans forward, calm and steady. First, we give that fear a name. In the quiet that follows, she says, I am not enough, and the room seems to pulse around that sentence. Naming it makes it smaller, it no longer moves through her like fog, but like an object on the table she can examine. That alone is the first step of change. Together they trace the story behind the line, a childhood of thrift, a boss who dismissed ideas, the lingering echo of a parent's worry. Each memory is a thread in the emotional pattern that has been telling her how money behaves. The guide doesn't argue with the story, he shows how to interrupt it. When a not enough begins, stop, he instructs. He demonstrates a simple physical anchor: press the thumb and middle finger together, breathe, and say aloud, "Not this story." The gesture clamps the mental loop and creates a tiny new habit that signals readiness to receive differently. They build a daily ritual that feels like coming home. 10 minutes at dawn, breath for 3, picture a small financial win, a paid invoice, a heartfelt thank you from a client, and let the body feel the relief as if it's happening now. She laughs at first, skeptical. Then she feels the tension around her chest loosen. Real examples emerge: Maria, who rebranded her catering and attracted a steady event client; David, who shifted his inner money dialogue and asked for a raise he hadn't thought possible. Both took aligned steps afterward: networking calls, pricing adjustments, consistent offers, actions that matched the new vibration. The guide watches not for perfection but for persistence. "You are practicing being someone who expects abundance," he says. The room brightens with the steadier breath and the soft clink of a mug. If this resonates, give this video a like and share below. What is your biggest financial struggle right now? Debt, low income, or fear of investing? Tell us. Your honesty is the doorway. Keep that small daily ritual alive, and prepare. In the final part we'll translate this new inner identity into a concrete, step-by-step plan that brings money in, real actions you can take tomorrow. The sun lifts slowly through the kitchen curtains. You sit at the table with a stack of envelopes and a coffee gone lukewarm. The scene feels familiar: tight shoulders, a racing chest, the old inner voice whispering scarcity like a cold draft. Then there is a softer voice, the guide you've been following in this journey, leaning in across the table as if to place a warm hand on your wrist. "Remember," she says, "wealth began long before your first deposit. It begins in the way you hold yourself when no one is watching." We breathe through the memory of that moment and see how the footsteps braided into your days changed everything. You remember naming the emotional pattern, how scarcity showed up as a small, looping sentence in your mind, then interrupting it with a deliberate, ridiculous image that broke the loop. In a quiet living room scene, you actually laughed at the thought of bills tap dancing away, and that laughter loosened something inside. You built a daily vibrational ritual, 5 minutes each morning of gratitude spoken like a vow, a solid stance in the mirror where you declare, "I am ready for wealth," and a tiny physical action, a coin placed in a jar, so your body learns to expect receiving. Finally, you took aligned action, a call to a mentor, a simple budget reframe, an offer made from confidence rather than fear. Action that matches the new you is not frantic, it is steady, deliberate, and full of the quiet certainty you practiced in the mirror. Picture now the small wins: an unexpected client, a bill paid early, the relief of breathing easier at night. You are not fixed by one paycheck or one loss, you are rewired by practice. If this felt like a turning point for you, tap the like, subtle, but it helps others find this message. Tell me in the comments, which of the 3 weighs heaviest on you today: debt, low income, or fear of investing? Share honestly. Honesty is the first key. If you want guided scripts for the ritual we practiced, subscribe and stay close. Next, we'll walk through a live 5-minute daily practice you can do with me, so the new you becomes the one who shows up.